So, my dad and I had a new, kind of a new start, or a fresh start to our relationship, to where we were able to talk to each other more of on a adult to adult, respectful relationship, and he was really good about respecting that, and he made a lot of efforts that way, which I really appreciated. My dad had a lot of health issues previously as well, and so he had a few different heart attacks, maybe 4 or 5, and he had a bunch of, had to have stents put in his heart and all that, and he had his first major bypass open heart surgery back in 1993. I remember that because I dropped everything. I was at work in Portland when I found out about it, and I jumped in the car, and he was living in Great Falls at the time, so that was his first one. But anyway, so in about still it was, I guess, 2015, a little bit later, he had called me after hadn't talked to him for about a month, and he called me and he said that he had just gotten out of the hospital, but it was a close call, and the doctor said that he almost didn't make it, and another heart episode. And I told him, I said, Dad, next time you're in a situation like that, please make sure that if you can, that I know about it ahead of time and not after the fact. I don't want to just get a phone call someday that you're dead. So he said I'll try to do that. He figured there probably would be another next time. So anyhow, but so he went home and was on just an unbelievable amount of medications and stuff. But so one day in the spring of 2016, Crystal and I were actually out to eat, and my phone rang, and it was my dad, so I answered it, and he said, he goes, I know you wanted me to call you ahead of time, he said, but I couldn't, so I'm letting you know now. I just got out of the hospital again, and was telling me all the details, and so, I stepped outside to talk to him, and so when I went back in and told Crystal what he'd said, she just looked at me and she said, you need to go see him. Now, keep in mind, I hadn't seen him in, I guess, 19 years, doing the math. But she said, you need to go see him, because she knew that if he had died, at that point, I wouldn't have had closure. So, we were talking again, but we hadn't resolved any of our stuff that caused us to be estranged for so many years. We just had kind of agreed to be respectful to each other, really, but nothing was, hadn't been really talked through or resolved or nothing. So she said, you need to go see him. And so I'm like, yeah, timing was good, that I had an opportunity to. So basically went home that night, started packing, and left early the next morning to drive over there. Same drive I'm doing right now. And that visit was really good. He was very thankful that I was coming. When I got there, he was very, very thankful for that. He and Kathy took me out to a nice restaurant. We had prime rib. But so the next day it was still good. But I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm here now. I said, if we have anything to talk about, let's do that. Let's get it all out on the table, and let's just, let's be honest and talk about it. And he said, okay. And so we did. We, for the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, we both just talked freely. And it was different than it had been in the past, and it was just more respectful. But he didn't really. I told him. I said, I'm giving you the green light to say what you think. Say what you want, and just be transparent. And so he was, and I was too. And that night after that, he had. There's a lake close by his house. That's where Kathy and I went kayaking. But my dad and I just went for a long drive, just up in the mountains, around the lake, and just nothing like, not a lot of talk, just small talk, but it was just cool. It was just, we brought one of his dogs, and it was just a nice time. So I stayed there, I think 4 full days, and just got a chance to kind of reconnect, talk about a lot of stuff. And so that was spring of 2016, and it was a good trip. It was something that I needed to do for my own closure that way. So I'll add a little bit more here in a bit.